Hello YouTube, I'm Tallman Brad, and this is the fourth video in the Teragon tutorial series. And in this video, I'll walk you through the settings you need to import your own height maps to Teragon for it to populate them with cities for you. Here's a sneak preview of what we're aiming for. This is a hand-drawn height map, and I've imported it into Teragon, and it has populated it with some cities and so on. There we go. So that's what we're aiming for. Before you go in and change any settings in Teragon, you'll need to first go into your generated worlds folder. So that's inside of app data roaming, 7 days to die, generated worlds. I've got a few worlds on the go here. If I right click and say new folder, I'm going to call this one height map import, all one word, so I know what it is. Then I need to find an existing height map, and here's a copy of the one that I was just showing you there. So I'm going to take that height map and I'm going to right drag it into our new folder and choose to copy it there because I don't want to move it. Then go inside of that folder. Now it's very important that you rename this dtm.png file, or whatever you've got it called, to something other than that, because Teragon will actually create a dtm.png file and it will overwrite yours if you leave it with the same name. So I'm going to change that one to my height map, or one word, .png. So in generated worlds, I've got a folder called height map import, and inside of there, I have one file called my height map.png. All right, let's go back into Teragon. And on the left here, you can see I've got world generator 1 loaded. So that's the default settings. This is just left over from testing. And all I'm going to change in here is the world. So if I click on world, I'm going to go to height map import, say select folder. I know that the height map that I'm importing is 6K, so I will leave that at 6K. You can quickly check how large yours is by going to your original file and hovering over it, and it'll tell you the dimensions. As always for testing, I'm going to turn off rivers because we know that does take a little while at the moment. I'm not going to change any of the settings here because I want to get into the expert menu, these next steps. So all of these things are still default in here, except the rivers are turned off. We're not generating a map using Teragon. We're just using Teragon to populate a map. So anything to do with generation, we can turn off. So create flat height map, we can disable, and all of these items in white and gray that we established in the last video were to do with the mountains and the terrain. And turn all of those off. Now you can just remove these by using the arrow button at the side here. Filter logistic square mask, which we used in the last video also, which is the one that cuts the borders at the side. Depending on whether your map has a border, you can either leave that on or off. I've already drawn a border on my map, so I can turn off filter logistic. Now we need to tell Teragon that we want to import a height map. So if I scroll through the list of the options we have, we can see import height map. I'm just going to hit the arrow to the right to pull that over to this side. It's put it in the wrong place, but that's okay. If I select it, I can use the arrow, pull it up to the right position. And you want to place it straight after create text data. In that option there, we can see here height map file name. So in there, I need to put in whatever we called our file. And just checking there, I called it myheightmap.png. I'm actually just going to copy all of that with Control-C and just paste it straight in there. So Teragon does this unusual thing where it rotates the map 90 degrees. I'm not really sure why that is. There's obviously a reason for it. I don't particularly want it to rotate it. I'd like to keep it the way around that I've got it. So if I tell it in here to rotate it 90, the Teragon's actually rotating it minus 90. So if I say to go positive 90, then it should place the map the right way around. Okay, let's run that and see what it does. There we go. That one took 2 minutes to do, but that looks pretty good. Bear in mind, I've got rivers switched off and I haven't continued the process so that it actually adds any roads, which I might do just for a laugh. So if you've created your map and it doesn't look quite how you thought it would, perhaps the water hasn't crept in where it's supposed to, maybe you need to adjust the height of the water. So if you saw the last video, you would know exactly how to do that. You just go into create flat water map and change the height from 18 to 30. Or you could try a little bit higher. see if the water will creep into your map. Something else you might have a problem with, depending on how tall your map is that it can't place cities over a certain height. Well, there is a setting for that. Let me just stop this from running. If I go into Create Towns, let me scroll down here, we can see max altitude for towns is set at 60. You could try putting that up to 90 or 100 or whatever you like. Something else that is possibly worth looking at, I've tested this a few times and it sort of makes a slight difference, but not a great deal, is the altitude deviation threshold. Try doubling it, tripling it, and so on. And it doesn't necessarily add that many more, but it does give a chance that some POIs or some tiles might place on slightly more uneven terrain. Please give the video a like before you leave. I really appreciate all of the support, all of the great comments. It's fantastic. So in the next video, we're going to have a look at adding custom POIs to your map. Now, specifically, I'm going to be using CP 48.6 at the time of recording. I'm doing that because the system isn't particularly straightforward at the moment. It is going to be updated, so it's made easier for you. But adding your own custom prefabs, unfortunately at the moment, involves editing a property text file, which can be quite complicated and not something I particularly want to get into right now. So that's coming up soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.